Erev Tov Givatayim, Boker Tov in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and greetings to friends of Israel around the United States, around Israel, and indeed around the world. It's Sunday. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. It's absolutely a beautiful fall day, and we are all starting to think about the other holidays right around the corner, and we're all stuck in our homes in large measure. So we brought you a topic that numerous people have asked about for our series today that deals with wellness and eating and living and eating healthy. And we hope it will be a present to you before the holidays to help prepare and put you in the right mindset for this. My name's Wayne Firestone. I'm the Executive Director of America-Israel Friendship League. We have been building friends between these great countries with all of our different nuances and with the ability to fall in love with one another now, even remotely. Because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to bring as many people to Israel physically, so we brought some Israel together and we've connected people from their homes from the very, very beginning of this series. If you're watching now, you can share the link. It's free, as always, the Zoom link, and friends can chime in. We always send a link to the video afterwards, so anyone that misses it or wants to share it with a friend, spoiler alert, there are going to be recipes that you can use here. We are going to send them to you afterwards. You don't need to run to your refrigerator. Your refrigerator, you know exactly where it is. It's waiting for you, and that's part of what we're going to try to demysticize and prevent the gremlins from the refrigerator from attacking us, at least in the coming period. If you're on Facebook, you can also host a Facebook Live watch party. And of course, as always, we'd love to know, where are people calling in from, and what are some of the foods that you're most frightened of in this coming period? Like, what are you trying to avoid? What do you know is going to be a problem? So if you stick it into into the chat, or just send us a word or two of what you're you better keep an eye out for. Maybe over the course of the hour, we can get some insight from Shira or Francesca, maybe not about the specific dish, but just about a way of thinking about it differently. So maybe it won't haunt you just as much. So again, I mean, the beauty of this series is just hearing real people from their homes about their real lives. We indeed have two experts who have built businesses and brands around personal struggles and challenges, dealing with food and food addictions. And not only have they done so in a way that has helped improve their lives, but they both have found a way to share their methodologies, their messages, their approaches to well-being, which we know was a huge industry and a huge approach in the last couple of years. But during the pandemic, frankly, it brings on an even a greater meaning, because we are confined. We are confined with our abuser, which is sometimes the food that's in the refrigerator. We're confined in ways that are very different, that we have to help ourselves to be more healthy. So you're going to hear first from Shira Wasserman. She created a brand and a company and approach to life called Half Shira. I'm not going to attempt to explain that until I'll let her do that in the opening segment as well. And Shira is calling in from Israel, and Francesca Caputo, who's in New York, who also does a health, wellness, and lifestyle coaching under the brand of Live Light with Francesca. Both of these wonderful women have created really very intentional approaches to their own lifestyle and their own cooking. And so we think this is going to be a fun opportunity for you to learn from them and to hear about things that frankly will be helpful for you and for your families, regardless of how many people are around you at the moment. So Shira, let's start with you. You have we have all of you on the screen, yet you have very intentionally been willing to share with your journey of how you got to Half Shira from what was another Shira at a different time in your life. So tell us a little bit about your story by way of introduction, and we'll use that as a way to set the groundwork of some of the things you'll be sharing later.
Okay, so my name is Shira. I live in Herzliya in Israel, and my weight was always an issue. I started to gain weight when I was 5 years old, and by the time that I was 12, I was titled obese, which was not good for me because I was way heavier than most of my friends and my classmates and my family, of course. And well, I really loved food. I loved basically sweet stuff, but also, you know, all kinds of food like pizza, hamburgers, whatever you can think of. I grew up for a few years in the US, so I gained most of the weight in the US. I lived in DC, and I think all of these years I had a dream to change my life. I never had the motivation to do it or to just go and do something for this to happen. And I was very sad, basically, because of the heavy weight I got to. And, you know, it's affect all of the stuff in your life, including walking, like, you know, walking or breathing or sleeping more like conveniently. And it was totally, I use the word messed up my life, but it also changed them to be a better life now. So by the age of 22, I lost more than 150 pounds, which is 70 kilos for those of you in Israel. And I really think that one thing helped me to keep me motivated and doing it, and also helping other a few years later, is just the sentence I had in my head that I just want to be like everyone else. I didn't want to be skinny. I didn't want to be a model. I just wanted to be like everyone else, just to be normal. I use the word normal because I was looking at other people and I said, well, I want to be like that, just the way it is. And I still love food. I use the non-diet approach because I really believe people need to eat everything, just not all of it. And I really believe in a healthy lifestyle, which includes also sweet stuff, which we will talk later about it. And I love to cook and I love to bake, and it's part of my life still. I mean, it's still part of the old Shira, the whole Shira, if you want to call it like that.
Nice.
Well, we first of all, it's great to see that picture. I love that picture with you next to the wood burning fire and the contrast, and indeed, I'm glad you underlined the fact that being healthy doesn't mean you have to not love food, and
right.
And indeed, one of the things we'll explore a little bit later are some healthy recipes, and as well as an approach to thinking about eating and living in a healthy way, even when we're, you know, have less choices or have to be more cognizant of our own bad habits sometimes. And people have already started writing in and sharing some of those. But let me just so everybody gets a chance to meet both of you first. Francesca, tell us a little bit about your journey by way of introduction and philosophy of life, and then I know you're going to not just talk about what you do, but actually demonstrate and show us how you go about starting a day or a week and thinking about the approach that you've developed.
Sure, thank you. I'm Francesca Caputo, and I, like Shira, have had a weight problem since childhood. I have struggled many, many years with yo-yoing dieting. And as a kid, I was heavy, and I feel like I learned it. It was an inherited experience I learned from my grandmother and raising me, going into the peanut butter jar and snacking, and what the commonality is the sugar, and the sugar is what really is detrimental. So my journey began with just being heavy and struggling my whole life, loving food, loving to eat, which isn't the culprit, it's the sugar. And over the years, I've had several careers in design and in medical field. And over a 20-year period, I started really getting into wellness and yoga and meditation and understanding that mind-body connection. So I have developed my company, Live Light with Francesca, to really help clients on all levels and go through my own journey of how I've been tormented as a chubby kid. And I guess when I was about 15, I was able to really maintain my weight I'd say from 15 to 30. And I found cigarettes. So that became another addiction. So I smoked for 15 years, and it definitely helped keep the weight at a good, not too far up or down. And then as an adult, I found that I wanted to be healthier, didn't smoke, and the weight started coming on. And you replace sometimes something for something else, and I replaced it with sugar. And sugar, again, is the evil in my life. I feel that when we don't have the sugar, it doesn't perpetuate the craving. So we will get into that after. But I love embarking on my new business and journey and really sharing it because it comes from such a place of authenticity. I can empathize with people and really understand how difficult it is. So I love to share the gift of the creativity in learning how to be in the kitchen and love your food, not feel deprived, and stay on course to keep yourself at your healthiest. It's not about skinny, fat, it's about how you personally feel. So we will start with just a 3-breath session. So I'm going to ask everybody to sit up nice and tall, feeling your spine and your top of your head connecting up to the beautiful sun, and bringing your hands onto your heart, gently closing your eyes. And we're going to feel that our palms on our heart center. And the one thing everyone has in common, whether you live in New York or Israel, or you are a different race, creed, religion, we all share the most beautiful gift of the sun. And the sun sits in our heart. The sun sits in the center of the tree of life. And we can always count on the sun, even if it's behind the clouds. So I want to have everyone just take a nice deep breath into your heart center. Feel your chest rise. Feel the sun in your heart, the light of the sun in your heart. You're going to hold that breath for 1 second and then exhale. And again, inhaling, feeling your chest rise, holding for a moment and exhaling beautiful light out and everything that does not serve you. And one last time, inhaling, big, full breath. The heart is the seat of compassion, having compassion for yourselves, for just that self-love that we all seek. And exhaling that breath, taking just a moment, feeling connected to yourself. And open your eyes. And we'll get started.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Breathing, I think, is something obviously in this period that we not only can't take for granted, but is that really the very one of the most prominent tension points about the virus. If we had done this very same program, a year ago, your methodologies and your approach to life would they have been the same? Would you have had sort of similar advice, or have you found, let's start with you, Shira, that in this period of the epidemic that you've had to, change or refresh your own thinking about your approach, given the fact that we are so confined and so really attached at the hip to some of the vices that we know we need to avoid or have under control.
Okay, so since the pandemic here, it's been since March, and the only thing keep me sane was the sports and the food. And of course, at the beginning, everyone was baking and, you know, making foods and stuff and going to the supermarket, buying tons of foods. And then I realized that I bought like twice as I used to buy. And well, first of all, I was very sad. I was celebrating my 40th birthday in May, and I was sure I will be in Paris traveling and doing stuff. And of course, that my food approach is very emotional. So I know that every time that I'm sad or happy or, you know, or I'm concerned about something, I'm just going to the fridge. Even if I'm not eating, I'm just going to be around the kitchen. It's like my safe place. So I started seeing that I'm going to the kitchen, opening and closing the fridge and just looking for food. I mean, I'm not used to being at home all day and, you know, struggling with the 2 little girls and working and doing all the stuff I know. And since I help other people doing their progress and their weight loss and their whole program, then I said to myself, well, you have to be strong for those people and you have to be an example for them. So I started thinking, what am I doing now? I'm a teacher now for my kids and I'm cooking and I'm doing all those stuff. And then I did one great thing, which I advise everyone to do, is I took my phone and I just started to make a daily schedule for me and my girls, exactly with hours, like 7 o'clock, I'm going to work out. 8:30, we're eating breakfast. And I started doing something with that situation, which I cannot change. I cannot change the situation. I cannot change the fact that I'm staying home all day. I was less active, which affected also my nutrition because I used to go around and traveling places and going for lectures outside and traveling overseas. And I think the one thing kept me sane was the food, was the healthy food, is to go to the kitchen and, you know, if I'm making cakes, it will be only on the weekends. And I think it's a great trick, by the way. You know, if you love to bake, just bake on Friday, that's it. And then you know that you won't eat it every day. The other thing was to keep my motivation for doing sports. So I bought home like a spinning bicycle and all those stuff. So I will have it at home because I knew if I won't have it, I won't do it. So I did all those changes. And I think now my home is like my safe place because I have everything here. You know, if you use the non-diet approach, you can eat everything. So I have everything at home, including fruits, vegetables, chocolate, whatever you can think of. And I think this kept me happy and, you know, more motivated to wake up every morning. I have a schedule. I have like something to do with my life. You know, it's not stopping and just, so I think this is, the schedule was critical for me.
First of all, thanks for sharing the specifics in terms of like what works with a working mother family situation, and because it's not even just you're preparing in some cases for others. There are other people that have needs and things that they're going to have as well, and that obviously creates other challenges. Francesca, is that an option to tell an Italian baker you can only bake on Friday?
Well, it depends. It depends. I have to agree with the structure. Having structure in our lives is so important. So the structure of meditating every morning, the mind follows the breath, right? I've been taught extensively how it's our minds. Our minds can either make us or break us. Our minds can lure us into that refrigerator, whether you open the door and shut it right away, Shira, right? or
Right.
you open it and you're searching.
This is my daily sport.
So yeah, so you got good arms. So really what came out of the pandemic, I had a very rocky start, very rocky. I went from cooking everything that wasn't its healthiest and enjoying it, okay? And then I had to make peace with it. So it's making peace with it. Okay, it's over now. So what came out of it for me was the gift of, I started like cooking for the elderly in my neighborhood, my neighbors, people that were in need. And I started making these beautiful pots of soup. And then I said, you know what? I have to share this. So out of the coaching came another like adjunct to the business, which is teaching people how to consciously cook. I am not a chef. I am not a trained chef. I was born into an Italian family. We all cook, we all eat. And then I had to take what I've learned and adjust it to keep myself as healthy as I choose to be. So I did once a week, I made that commitment where I was sharing a recipe. And now I have this beautiful, I'm going to call it a volume of my recipes done with a video that will lead to other, like such as this. This is such a gift. So it's, you know, it will lead me to other places. It's a book. It's stay tuned for that book. It really, there have been so many gifts through COVID, truly gifts of how we've learned and pushed ourselves. You can choose. Everything is a choice. You could choose to go down that slippery slope and keep going, or you pick yourself up.
Well, I just love this idea that you mentioned that you know, if you love to cook, and not everybody does, the idea of actually cooking something that you put your heart and soul into and then sharing it with someone maybe also gives some of the satisfaction of that, and with a recognition that everyone's going through hard stuff now. And so really, I guess there were a couple of questions that people have already posed about diet programs like Overeaters Anonymous and other kind of weight loss programs. But if I understood from our earlier discussions, both of you see your approaches as a little bit less about being on a diet per se, although there are diet elements to what you're watching, but frankly, more of a lifestyle change and approach to it. Shira, at what point were you able to say, you know, okay, I'm now half of Shira, but in order to maintain that, my perspective each day, even before the pandemic, had to fundamentally change. When did that sort of, you know, when were you able to make that sort of overall lifetime change, not just the dieting change?
Okay, so first of all, after I lost more than 100 pounds, I realized that I'm really like doing it this time, because I was trying to do all those yo-yo diet, like Francesca said, and I did not lose any weight. So, and then the minute I saw that I'm really starting to be, like I said before, normal, like starting to look like everyone else in my age, then I realized that if I can do it, then everyone else can do it. And the reason I didn't do it for so many years is because I didn't really want it, and I didn't really want to work in it, you know, just to prepare the food and do the sport and do everything. And then I realized that as a portion, I ate so much food that, like, if we take like a tablet of chocolate, I was eating 4 of it or 5 of it in like half an hour. So I was eating so much, which the eating habit was so bad that I had to change it for my health, not just for my weight. And I think the one thing kept me motivated all the time was to see that I'm losing 1 kilo after another, 1 pound after another. And then I saw my self-confidence, which was totally changed. My personality changed completely. I'm not the same person as I was before. I remember entering a room and then keeping my head down like this, and I wasn't looking in the eye because I was I felt humiliating by being so fat, by being such a big girl. And let me remind you, it was like 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I was the heaviest person around. I mean, that's how I felt. And now I see pictures from that back then, and I realize I was very heavy. And I think when you decide with yourself to do the change, it happens. It's not just the bread you eat, or if you keep carbs or protein or whatever it is. It's just the decision you take. And I took this decision at the age of 23, and I decided to change my life because I felt I deserve it. I deserve to be just like other people, and I deserve a normal life. I deserve the job I love, and I deserve the husband I want. And I think I realized that I was wasting my life over this weight. And this was the main motivation, the biggest motivation I had back then. So I think everyone, if they want to lose weight, not just for the, for the way they look, just for their health or their whatever they need to think, why do I do this? I mean, do I do this just to be a size, 5, or just to be size 4, or I'm doing it for my health and my soul, because my soul was broken. I mean, I was totally a different person. So
Francesca, let me come back to you. What would you say are the 3 most important things that people should keep in mind based on what you've experienced to sort of keep you on track? Like, once you've made that decision that this is what I'm going to do, how do you stay with it given all the temptations?
It has to start with the self-love. Under that self-love is self-respect, self-worth. Give up the shame. You make peace with the shame. There's so much shame attached to being obese, to being overweight, to not feeling that you are connected to your soul. And as Shira said, it's patience. It's having patience with yourself, having the perseverance to see it through. I would say the 3 P's: patience, perseverance, and persistence. You have to stay connected, which is why when we bring our hands to our heart and we actually really take a breath, we're connecting to source. It doesn't matter what you believe in. You can call it God, you can call it the universe, the sun. That's why I love teaching my students about connecting to the sun, because when we are disconnected from ourselves is when we abuse ourselves. So that connection of just being connected is imperative, and it's not a diet. It has to be a lifestyle. And we all know, I study with a woman that created something pretty fascinating, a susceptibility scale of how susceptible you are in foods that trigger the brain to wanting the more and more and more and more and more. If I have a bite of something with sugar or eat something with sugar and can stop it in its tracks, but for me, it really is, it's worse than a heroin, because it keeps me perpetuated. So I have had to find the things that allow me the sweetness in my life, right? We just got through with the Jewish holidays. I'm not Jewish, but I love the Jewish religion. I am so akin to it. That sweetness, we want a sweet life. So there's ways that we're going to teach you today that are exciting to keep it sweet. So patience, persistence, and perseverance, all under the realm of self-love and worth.
All right, well, let's persevere with your first recipe, because it's one that I know you enjoy cooking and making and thinking about healthy dishes. And so this was and it's fall. So in fall, everybody's starting to think about, those fall dishes. So tell us a little bit about the specific dish you want to share, and what some of the ingredients are. The ingredients sort of change here, at least in the Northeast, very, very distinctly by what you see in the markets.
So the first recipe I did was, there's some roasted butternut squash. There's fresh butternut squash that we're going to roast, and a little play on the just plain roasted butternut squash, because I'm very creative and food for me is alchemy. It's all I'm an artist. You know, I don't paint right now. I'm not doing pottery. I'm not doing anything, but I'm in the kitchen creating. So we have butternut squash cut up. You can buy it whole, peel it. You can buy it. Things are so easily and readily available. Sage and pinoli nuts. I roast the butternut squash just in the oven, a drizzle of olive oil, salt and pepper. I take the pinoli nuts, I put them either in a frying pan, get it very hot. They roast quickly. You brown the pinoli nuts, and then the sage, fresh sage, you take, and again, either on a cookie sheet or in a very hot pan, and you bring them all together. And now we have something a little different. So it's roasted butternut squash with pinoli nuts and sage. We have the recipe. It's a great carbohydrate. I'm not telling anyone not to eat carbs. The brain needs carbohydrates, but it's healthier carbs. It's thinking about alternatives to the other stuff. We call it not my food. So this is my food. A butternut squash. You get the nice crunch of the pinoli nuts, little salt, pepper on it, and you're done. It's so easy. It's great for our American Thanksgiving. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful dish. Everyone enjoys it.
All right, I'm ready for that one for sure. And someone asked you to repeat the three. Linda asked if you could repeat the 3 Ps slowly.
Okay, it's patience, perseverance, and persistence. And my very dear spiritual teacher has instilled that in me, Dr. Levry.
So Francesca, you made a reference to this earlier. One of our listeners, Joy, is asking that essentially we know that the benefits of health by losing weight for people who are obese. But isn't there the larger problem here that people are saying it is okay to be heavy, to make themselves not feel rejected? We shouldn't be shaming people, but actually we are hurting them, saying that it is okay to be heavy. So do you feel like there is how do you send both messages to people? And I know you've specifically done some work about the genetic markers that people have. So some people do have predispositions toward a certain body.
Absolutely.
Could you speak to that and how, people, we help other people recognize that, our different sizes aren't necessarily there isn't one size we should all be aiming for.
Absolutely not. And I did say throughout the conversation that we're all different. I'm not sitting here saying everyone needs. I'm an average sized woman. I'm not skinny. I'm not telling people you have to be skinny. Everyone, it's so personal. It's so individual. Everyone has to find that place in their lives where they're their best. I want to be my best. So whether that means from a chart of what I should weigh to feeling my best, it's about individuality. If somebody is obese and they are comfortable, God bless them. God bless them. Just be healthy, because when we have extra weight on us, you can deal with a lot of heart issues, diabetes, clotting. There's a lot that goes with it. So my message is be healthy. It's bio-individual. Yes, we are so advanced in the medical field that there are genetic markers. I sold advanced testing to the integrative and functional medicine world for over 8 years. And I've watched things evolve. And there's testing that's done through saliva, which we are able to talk about genes. So I'm actually reading what some of the markers are. There's a marker called FTO, which is appetite regulation and craving frequency. There's an MC4R that talks about how satisfied we are and how our metabolism is regulated. I am full blown on the spectrum of my brain has to be relearned how to actually be satisfied. And my metabolism is very slow, that I need to move. I don't need to run a marathon, but I need to do some movement in order for me to stay healthy. I choose to be healthy. So there are tests out there, you know, instead of beating myself up, oh, I can't be a size 4, I can't be a size 6. I'm never going to be a size 4 or a 6, and it's fine. That's okay. I'm a beautiful woman that has thrived in this world by being her healthiest. The only other thing I could say is just you have to feel good. We all know what it's like to feel good inside. I feel good when I put clothes on that fit. I don't feel good when I cannot or am uncomfortable in clothing. So it's so personal. It's by no means are we any of us sitting here saying everybody needs to be thin and skinny. It's a personal choice, and there's no diet. It's not, everybody's different. I like to sit with people and say, tell me the foods you like, and we'll take those foods and we'll create something.
That's really helpful. That's really.
I hope that answered the question.
It does, and it shows why we need your book to come out to have the full appreciation of the different insights that you gained from different aspects of this approach. So it's really helpful. Shira, we had a question for you from Dan about what you think about in-person meetings with this person is Dan is actually writing from Costa Rica, so I don't think he's proposing an in-person meeting, but was asking about the situation in Israel. You know, what has happened and how people are able to, people who like and need that kind of in-person coaching session, you know, how that has worked over the past several months.
Well, my program was always online. I mean, I was always available through Zoom and Facebook and, you know, WhatsApp and everything. And I think when it's concerning food and a process of changing stuff in your life, not only just to lose weight, you know, I'm not like a lose weight. I'm not saying your life should be around losing weight, but we all know that when it's concerning food, you need like a daily support with it, because you're dealing with food every minute, from the minute you wake up until the minute you go to sleep. In one of the researches I show in my lecture is that you have over 200 thoughts of food every day, which is amazing. When I ask people, do you know how many times we think of food every day? And they say, well, 10 times, 20 times, and it's more than 200. And I think it shows that food is, especially due to COVID, it's started to be so, it's taking such a big part of our life, you know, cooking, being at home, going to the fridge, going to the kitchen, asking the kids what they want to eat, taking food, bringing food. And I think it's not, because of his people gained so much weight due COVID, and I see people who gain like 10 kilos, which is, I don't know, 20 pounds, and it's a lot for someone who used to be normal, skinny, whatever you think. And it's a new it's a new thing to deal with, because you're staying at home. In Israel, here we just today they started opening the kindergartens and stuff, but we were home for like a month now. And no, it's a month with holidays and cooking, and I was home alone with my family, and I was making so much food because it's a holiday and I'm making food for every holiday, like I'm inviting 40 people. So somebody have to eat it. But you know, it's a struggle. It's an everyday struggle. And I think when you do it online, when you do it, we have an app, we have, you know, like Zoom meetings for our client, and it's you can just say, I have a bad day, help me, and I can help him within an hour and not within a week if I'm going to meet him in a week. And I think we understood that the future is online, basically.
Well, that's certainly been the case today. We have lots more questions, and I will try to get to several of them before we finish. No, but we ain't leaving until we see those date balls. So
oh, of course.
And I'm not revealing yet what Francesca has for us. So tell us a little bit about we know we all have a sweet tooth at some point or the other. Portion control, people have referred to is part of what needs to be in the conversation. But Shira, show us the dish, which I don't know if it's an Israeli dish only, but I first discovered these in Israel. So I love looking at what you're doing.
Well, I love dates, and I think they are the one thing reminds me of chocolate, of the healthy version of chocolate. And when I started losing weight, I was thinking about something sweet, which, because I love sweets, of course I love chocolate, that I can eat every day, and it will be healthier and crunchier, which has the nuts inside. And then I said, well, if I make like a whole cake, like without sugar, with healthy flour and stuff, then I can just go and eat it piece by piece. But here, it's like a portion. So, you know, well, I ate 2, I ate 1, I ate 3, and it's very easy to make. Even kids, my daughter can make it very easily. So what we have here is only dates. And you just mix them in a food processor with walnuts, cocoa powder. Well, I put some kind of nut almond butter. I put tahini here because I love tahini, but you can put like, you can put almond butter, pistachio butter, which is amazing. And then it turns like a little bit green. And you can put any nuts you like. Just make sure you put like the right portion, because nuts are very high in calories. And it's just dates, no sugar. Don't add any sugar. Don't add like, I don't know, like honey or stuff, because it's sweet enough. If it's sweet enough for me, then it's sweet enough for everyone else. And then you just have portion. You put coconut flake on when you make them, and then you can just freeze them for like a month or 2, and you can just have 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever you decide. So for me, it was a lifesaver, because I eat like cakes and stuff only on the weekends, as I said. So in the middle of the week, I have something sweet, even in the morning, afternoon, whatever I decide.
Wow. Well, and again, I can already see the questions coming. Yes, we will be sharing the recipes afterwards, and they will arrive in your inbox well before Thanksgiving. Now, if you're a more traditionalist about what you're serving, for those of you celebrating Thanksgiving just around the corner, Francesca's got a little bit of a twist on a very traditional dish in the United States.
So who doesn't love apple pie, right? It's really good. It's comforting. Those sweets, I think sweets for everyone bring us back to our childhood. You know, whether you've been on mother's milk or not, the sweet in our palate is comfort. It's nurturing. So that's why most of us love sweets. It's instilled at probably before birth, but definitely at birth. And formulas are sweet. And it's the comfort part of our brain that registers on getting warm and fuzzy kind of feeling. So I'm going to tell you first what the ingredients are, real simple, and then I'll show you what I prepared. I try not to have flour, white flour. And I've taken plain walnuts. There's a product I use when I want something a little sweet. It's called monk fruit sweetener. Okay, it's from the Jacinto tree. It's 0 calories, and they make it in brown. It's a natural product. I don't use it often, but in something like this, I'm using it. You take either butter, or if you're vegan, some coconut oil. You do this all in the food processor. Walnuts, a fat melted butter, or the smooth coconut oil. You put a little cinnamon, a little of the sweetener. If you like, you can use dates. You can use date syrup. You make your crust. You bake it for a minute or so. Let it get a little brown, and then you peel beautiful apples, right? And we're like apples. Everyone's different. Green, red, white, small, large. It's who we are. So it makes the world go round. And you bake it. And I happen to cut my apples nice and thin. And I made a fan, literally a fan pattern.
Whoa.
Here's my pie.
Beautiful.
So here's my pie with a nut crust. It is sweet in my apples. All I put was cinnamon, lemon juice, pinch of clove. That's it. That is it. The apples are so sweet this time of year, crunchy, fresh, and there you have it. I didn't taste it, so.
Dude, please do.
Oh,
yeah.
really good. I can't wait to have it later and share it. I made my husband an apple pie last week. He ate the whole pie with the crust and the whole thing. And then he sees my pie yesterday. That looks so good. So I have a feeling he's going to like my pie better than the traditional pie with the floured crust. So
that's great. That's it. And I know that is a big thing. We're getting a question from Bilha. What type of apples do you recommend for?
I like Macintosh apples for baking, and I'll mix a Granny Smith in with that. It's perfect apple for apple pie. Really and truly, it's like foolproof. But you can mix any kind of apple in it. Mm-hmm. And covering it. When I bake it, I cover it with aluminum foil for the first maybe 20 minutes, almost steam those apples, and then I take it off and bake it the rest of the time.
Great. So like, I am so thrilled to be able to say that anybody that, spent the hour with us today is going to feel like they got bonuses here.
I have to say the same thing. I usually, when I do it with pumpkin pie, I'll do a pecan crust. You can do this with fruits. You can make anything out of it, and you're avoiding that flour. So
great. So let me try to get to a couple more of the questions that we had that came in. There's one that deals with a very challenging issue again in normal times, whatever that means these days. But even families where there are overweight and obese children. How do you set the right tone for them and introduce some of the things that maybe as an adult you have a better perspective on now? Is there a way to introduce that that is sort of works for the whole family? And Shira, and I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, of course. Well, because I was obese as a child and as a grown-up person, well, I can say my biggest tip for parents who are concerning about their children's weight or food, even if the kid is skinny, but he's eating like only candies and unhealthy stuff, is just to kids wants information about food. They want to know stuff. Let's say if my daughter will ask for French fries, I will explain her that too much oil is not healthy for anyone. I mean, not just for her. I will never say the word fat, even if my girl was fat. I would never use the word fat. I will use the word health instead of fat or weight, because we don't want the kids to start, counting calories and, dealing with all the stuff that they will deal with it eventually when they will be grown up. And I think as a kid need to know that the parents love him no matter what weight is or what he's dealing with concerning food, because food is always like a place that for arguments at home. Don't eat this, don't eat that, it's too much. And parents used to they usually worry about the kids, so they start telling him in front of everyone, don't eat, it's too much for you, don't eat this, don't take candies. And we need to just be more relaxed about our children's food. And when we want to explain something, just do it in person, just do it, just explain to the kid. I remember the first time I showed my one of my daughters how we make French fries, and I showed her like this whole pot full of oil, and she was looking and she said, "Oh my God, it's so much oil! How can you put so much oil?" Well, I said, "This is the way you make French fries." So I gave her information instead of giving her a lecture, which is not healthy. And it's better to speak that way than to start telling them, don't eat that, it's too much for you. And many parents seeing that they have one kid which is very thin and the other is gaining weight, so they start telling, you can eat this, but you are not allowed to eat that. And making so much mess at home, and so like the spirit is so bad about food, and we keep talking about you're allowed, you're not allowed. And I'm saying, well, you need to put limits. I put limits to my girls. They know you can have only one candy a day. That's it. I mean, there are, parties and stuff, but when they know they have one candy or one sweet stuff a day, and they know they can choose it, then we have no arguments and no, dilemmas about eating or not eating. And it's valid for both of them. So I think this is the way.
Yeah. And again, as I sort of want to get the advice from both of you coming up on the holidays. There is actually a debate that takes place that I learned about years ago when I worked at Hillel. That is a debate between the Hamantaschen and the Latke. And like which one is the ultimate food. But I don't think any of the arguments over the years that I've heard, and usually it's argued by professors and students but very rarely from a nutritional perspective. So we will have these influences and advertisements and in the grocers, etc., that pull us in directions that we know aren't healthy. And I'm wondering, Francesca, maybe you could start with just any advice about, heading into the holiday season, how to sort of avoid some of those challenges.
Sure. I would say the biggest thing is to be prepared. And what that means is if you're going to there may not be too many parties this year, but you don't want to be prepared and don't feel deprived. So in making things like the date balls, the cake, the pies, you want to feel satisfied. You want to make foods and eat foods that really satisfy you. I don't think, even bringing it back to the children with the holidays, get them involved in baking things and making things and understanding food and really developing the relationship with food. And for the holidays, it's be prepared. Do not feel deprived. Think of that list of foods that you love. Maybe you're making a latke a little differently. Maybe you're not frying it in the oil. I've made latkes with my one of my dearest friends from Israel who is on this live today. She has taught me how to make latkes, and maybe you're not frying it in the oil. Okay, maybe it's you grease a cookie sheet and you form them and you bake it that way. So be very creative. Come up with recipes that you can alter, that you can make. You want it is emotion. Food is emotion. It brings us to places that in our childhood. So being prepared, definitely preparation and not deprivation at all.
Right. Yeah. Shira, how we just finished a whole series of holidays, which you talked about those challenges, but Sufganiyot are just around the corner.
I know, and I don't like them, but I like, many other stuff. So, I believe in combining healthy food with the traditional, maybe not healthy food. Let's say I can make like a great green salad for starter, or any, baking, to bake something very healthy, a whole fish and vegetables and stuff. And then for dessert, I can make this amazing chocolate pie cake. And then I believe in portion. I believe that when a person loves something, he needs to eat it, but in a portion. Let's say if I used to eat 5 slices of pie, then I will eat only 1 or 2, because this is the portion I decided I will eat. So eventually it will be only the portion and not the quality. I mean, it may not be very healthy. It may contain butter and, chocolate and all those stuff. But I know I cannot avoid this food because it was part of me. It was part of Shira. It was part of lots of people who gain all this weight or all this, whatever they gained, because they love this food. So you cannot just ignore it and, saying I'm not eating it for the rest of my life. But I definitely believe in what Francesca just said about eating good food for your health. It's not only the weight. So when people say, it's amazing, because when people say that butternut squash is carb, so I said, so what's wrong with it? I mean, you can eat carbs. It depends on how much you eat carbs. If you eat a whole bread, then it's not healthy for you. But if you eat 1 or 2 slices, then it's great. You should be proud of being in control and eating only 2 slices of bread.
That's so true.
Amen.
Francesca, I'm gonna give you sort of the final word here. We're coming. It's hard to believe that it sped by so quickly.
That's it.
But I know you like to both start and conclude your sessions with people with a reflection point, and that you prepared something for us today that we'll put the words up on the screen. And I know it's meant to be sort of a very universal thought, reflection, prayer, however anyone sees it. But we'd love to hear your recitation to sort of close this out.
Sure. This is called the prayer of light. And I'd ask everyone to come back into that posture of sitting up tall, bringing your hands on your heart, and just taking a moment of gratitude for us all being united throughout the world today. Is such a gift that we can be from different corners of the world and share such common information with each other that links us all together. So this is a prayer, a universal prayer. Again, doesn't matter what religion you're from. It's a beautiful prayer to say and do for yourself and to also do for others. So close your eyes and just repeat after me, or look at the screen because we have the prayer on it. So a big breath in and inhale. Love before me, love behind me, love at my left, love at my right, love above me, love below me, love unto me, love in my surroundings, love to all, love to the universe. Another inhale. Peace before me, peace behind me, peace at my left, peace at my right, peace above me, peace below me, peace in me, peace in my surroundings, peace to all, peace to the universe. Inhaling. Light before me, light behind me, light at my left, light at my right, light above me, light below me, light in me, light in my surroundings, light to all, light to the universe. It's a beautiful prayer for yourself and to share with others.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. What a great way to begin the week and
Amazing.
be together, even though we're separated. Two final program notes, just for those of you that like to join our series also during the week. On Wednesday, we have an amazing program. As I listened to the two empowered women on this episode talk about how to help sort of our day-to-day. The next, on Wednesday, we've assembled a really amazing multi-generational panel of women who have all served in advanced, in some cases, combat roles in the U.S. military and the Israeli military. And we have an amazing program with one of the first female instructors at the Air Force Academy, as well as one of her cadets. And two amazing Israeli women who are serving in important operational roles in the IDF. So please join us on Wednesday at noon for that episode. And for those of you that are enjoying our series, are going to get the recipes, enjoy them, please know that this month, all of the donations that are made for this programming are being matched dollar for dollar and shekel for shekel by and peso for peso. We had some people call in from Latin America, and we got an Olaf from Miami earlier in the episode. So we are doing this. We're going to continue doing this because we recognize it's a hard time. All of your support during this period not only is appreciated, but it's also doubled. We get a twofer on this. For all donations up to $1,000. So please come to our website and share and spread some of that love, peace, and light that Francesca's reflection just acknowledged. So again, a special thank you, Shira, Francesca, to everyone. Have a wonderful week. Shavua Tov. And we're back with you again at noon Eastern time on Wednesday. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.